Hi, Stuart Bruce here, and I am the Spare Time Property Investor. In these podcasts, I'm going to share tips, tricks and lessons that I've learned and will hopefully help you, especially if you're still working the 9 to 5. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Spare Time Property Investor podcast. In this episode, I'm going to go back through the tools that my guests have used so far from the first 14 interviews I've done. This is all about what my guests use to be as efficient as possible when they are investing in property around their other commitments. So as a spare time property investor, you have to find a way to squeeze in property investment around your other commitments like a day job or other business. And one of the best ways to do that is by using technology. So what tools can you use to help keep things moving forward while you're at work, in a lunch break, or sneaking off to that meeting room to make a personal call? Now, if you haven't listened to the interviews, please take some time to check them out. My guests so far have ranged from business owners, an airline pilot, professional sports people, a wedding photographer, an electrical engineer, to name just a few. They're also all at very different stages in their property careers, but one thing they have in common is they've all found ways to be as efficient as possible to make sure they can carry on investing in property whilst holding down that day job or running their business. A quick disclaimer, this list does not include Rightmove, Zoopla, Gumtree or Spare Room, because I think it would be really boring and lazy of me to just have a list of those because everybody uses them. But the list does include free tools that my guests use and you can too. So number 5, a calendar on your phone to be more specific. So I use this and a couple of my guests use this. So just make sure you carry out those tasks you've set for yourself. And I set reminders for all of them. So it pings whenever I need to get on to the next task, and it just makes sure that I don't miss them. It's almost like a daily to-do list. I try and set out as many as possible a week ahead, and then the night before to make sure I have a list of things that I need to do to keep things moving forward. And because it's on my phone, it's really easy to check and update. Number 4, Slack. This is a really powerful communication tool. So instead of having all of these different email chains, you have one dedicated communication channel for a project. And you can also do things like connect it up to Trello. So you have really clear communication between the different people who are involved in that project without using lots of different channels like WhatsApp, email and things like that, which can get really confusing, and also you can miss things if you use different channels. This is all about bringing it all together into one place so everybody knows what's happening and they can communicate with each other. Now, joint third is Trello and Asana. Now, I've not used Asana, but I think it's very similar to Trello, which I do use. Now, Trello is some software to help with project management, and it uses boards, lists and cards. So for instance, I have a Trello board for the podcast. On one of the lists, it has names of people I want to invite as guests on the podcast. Another list is podcasts that I've recorded but that need to be edited. And then another list is edited podcasts that need to be uploaded. So it really helps me to organise and keep track of what's happening. One of the other great things is you can set reminders for absolutely everything, and you can also allocate tasks to different people, which is very, very handy. Number 2. Now, personally, this would be my number 1, but this is from my guests. So number 2 is Google Drive, Sheets and Docs. I've grouped them together. Some of them only mention Google Drive, for instance, but I think it makes sense for them all to be grouped together. Now, for me, these are such powerful tools. Google Drive, for instance, you can upload scanned documents. Sheets is very similar to Excel or other spreadsheets. And then Docs is similar to any other word processor like Word. But what is so powerful is you can just access all of them from anywhere, and it's all free. So if you're at work and you get a call from the mortgage broker, you can refer to those documents, that spreadsheet and the letter you've sent to a landlord, for instance, all in one place. As an example, you can upload those documents that you need to refer to and access it from wherever you are, as long as you've got the internet. I think this is invaluable, especially when you're mortgaging a property, for instance, because you need to be able to see those documents and you don't want to wait until you get home to have a look for them. The other great thing is you can give people access to a folder on Google Drive, so you can put all of your documents in that, and then that person you've given access can have a look at them, they can download them, and they can keep on having access to it while you add more documents. So it becomes like a living, breathing folder that you can both work from. I think this is particularly helpful when you're working with different people at a distance. And, if we go into another lockdown, for instance, or if your region is in lockdown, what a great tool to be able to use. If you can upload documents into a shared folder, both see it, both amend those documents, and work as though you're in the same office. The number one is Canva. All of your design, social media, marketing problems solved. Canva is brilliant. It has loads of different design ideas. It has different designs in the correct dimensions for the different social media. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, for instance. So you can use them and tweak them and make sure it looks fantastic. And make sure the colours are correct for your branding, for instance. And it's all free, which obviously makes sure that all of your social media content looks great and is consistent across the different platforms. So I think this being number one just shows how important branding and social media is for people trying to grow their businesses. For instance, I use Canva for Instagram posts, YouTube thumbnails, and the new newsletter we've started producing. Just a little plug. So there you have it, a calendar on your phone, Slack, Trello or Asana, Google Drive, Sheets and Docs, and Canva. If you have all of these tools, you'll be in really good shape to move your investments along. And as I say, these are all free or have free versions, and they can all be used on your mobile phone. So it's really, really mobile, and it's also a really low cost way to improve your efficiency. Now, these aren't the only tools that people suggested, so I've also created a blog post about this with all the links to the different tools so you can access them easily. Now, I hope you found that useful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and there'll be some other guest highlight episodes coming up soon. But for now, that's it from me, so see you again next time. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please leave me a 5-star review to help other people find it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.